It was a moment no one saw coming. A dramatic event took place behind the grand walls of the Vatican, where only the highest-ranking cardinals are allowed to enter. In a private room, an important message was revealed, causing the entire room to fall silent. Luis Antonio Tagle, the man known for his calm demeanor, could no longer hold back his emotions. Why? What made him show such strong emotion? As the whispers became official words, what the Cardinals announced was not just a typical statement. It was a moment that changed everything. And Tagle, the man many believe will be the next to lead the church, now stands before a monumental decision, a decision that could shape the future of the entire world. Want to know what made him shed tears? Don't forget to leave a comment with the number 1 if you sympathize with this story, or number 0 if you have a different opinion. Share your thoughts with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next, where we will reveal all the secrets of this story. It was the final wish of Pope Francis. A wish that didn't mean staying within those walls. It was a message, loud and clear, for the world. But why now? Why did this deeply private request come at this exact moment? Pope Francis had struggled with health issues, and at the age of 88, many expected retirement discussions. But no one anticipated this emotional bombshell. Witnesses said that Tagle's face told a story of honor, fear, and immense responsibility. Many had long believed that Tagle was not just a trusted cardinal. He was someone Pope Francis considered the future. And now, with this final wish revealed, the weight of that future had crumbled. As an insider reportedly whispered, "It's not just a wish, it's a legacy passed down." And so, as Tagle wiped away his tears, the world outside began to ask, what exactly did Pope Francis request? What could make someone like Tagle, famous for his calm and strength, show such raw emotion? The answer lies not just in the words spoken that day, but in the life of the person who spoke them, Pope Francis. And this is where our story will continue. Who is the man behind this historic wish, the man behind the mission? Before becoming the leader of 1.3 billion Catholics, he was just Jorge Mario Bergoglio, a boy from Buenos Aires with humble beginnings and a heart for others. When he became Pope Francis in 2013, he didn't just take a new name. He introduced a new way of leadership. The first Jesuit pope, the first from the Americas, and perhaps the first in a long time to truly live like the people he served. From the very first day, Pope Francis rejected luxury. No throne, no lavish palaces. He chose simplicity, walking among the poor, speaking in words everyone could understand. His mission was clear. I want a poor church for the poor. But now, at 88, with his health in doubt, many wonder, does he feel his mission is unfinished? Is this final wish a way for him to ensure his vision will endure even after he is gone? Because Pope Francis is not only thinking about today. He is thinking about tomorrow and who will carry out his dream of a church built on compassion. And that brings us back to the importance of this wish. A wish that is not just a goodbye. But what does the final wish of a pope truly mean? Let's find out. It's not just words. In most cases, when a pope leaves a message, it is in the form of official doctrine, teachings, or letters. But Pope Francis was never like most other popes. His final wish was not filled with complex rules or theology. It was something much deeper, a call for unity, compassion, and hope. A human message, not just a religious one. Some say he was hinting at succession without naming anyone. Others believe he was simply asking the church to stay true to his vision of kindness over judgment. According to a source from the Vatican, Francis didn't just want to be remembered for what he changed, but for those who would continue to change everything. This was not about power, it was about purpose. And that's why his final wish could redefine the church for many generations to come, because it's not locked in tradition, it is open to transformation. But if anyone truly understands the heart behind this message, it's the man who stood in tears when the message was announced, Luis Antonio Tagle. So, who is the man that Pope Francis trusted so deeply? Let's take a closer look. The man who was entrusted carried the vision. Luis Antonio Tagle's story is one of humility, service, and quiet strength. Born in Manila, far from the power centers of Rome, no one could predict that this soft-spoken cardinal would one day be rumored to be the future of the Catholic Church. But Pope Francis saw something special in him. Known as the Francis of Asia, Tagle reflects everything Pope Francis represents. Humility, compassion, and a deep connection with ordinary people. Whether comforting refugees or speaking out for the poor, Tagle lives by the mission Pope Francis preached. It's no coincidence that Pope Francis entrusted him with significant roles, trusted him with delicate tasks, and always kept him close during moments of important decision-making. Many believe that when Pope Francis made his final wish, he saw Tagle as the one who would lead the church into a new era. As a cardinal once said, Tagle does not just follow Francis's vision, he embodies that vision. But stepping into that role will not be easy, as the church stands at a crucial point, caught between the weight of tradition and the winds of change. And that is exactly where we are headed next. Tradition meets transformation. Right now, the Catholic Church is at a crucial crossroads, a decisive moment that could shape the future of the Church for decades, even centuries. On one side of this divide is tradition, centuries of rules, rituals, and authority that have shaped the Church as it is today. On the other side is a rapidly changing world, not calling for a rejection of faith, but for a faith that evolves, listens, includes, and adapts. Pope Francis's final will does not just acknowledge this divide, it directly challenges it. He knows that the Church can no longer ignore the voices of those left on the margins. His message is not just about who will be next, it is about the kind of church that will exist for the next generation. This is where Luis Antonio Tagle steps into the story in a profound way. Tagle occupies a unique position between these two worlds. He has earned the respect of traditionalists for his deep theological foundation and loyalty to the teachings of the Church. However, he has also won the hearts of progressives for his empathy, compassion, and his clear desire to make the Church a home for everyone, not just a select few. He does not shout for change. He quietly embodies it. And sometimes, quiet change is the most powerful change of all. But let's be honest, this is not an easy road. Inside the Vatican, not everyone is eager for transformation. There are powerful and deeply entrenched forces that fear what a more inclusive modern church could mean. They fear that evolving too quickly, too far, will weaken the foundation they have safeguarded for centuries. As an insider from the Vatican recently said, this is not just about a new pope. It's about a new church. And that scares some people. However, outside the walls of the Vatican, calls for reform are louder than ever. Young Catholics in particular are looking for a church that not only memorizes doctrine, but also reflects their lives, struggles, questions, and hopes. For many, Luis Tagle is the only figure who can truly bridge that gap, because Tagle understands something important. Faith doesn't need to be loud to survive. It just needs to be real. This moment in history is not just about a transfer of leadership. It's a spiritual challenge. Will the church continue to cling to the past out of fear? Or will it embrace the future with faith? Could this be the most pivotal moment since the church's founding? Many believe it might be. But as speculation swirls around the future role of Tagle, some are asking an even more intriguing question. Has the decision already been made behind closed doors? The signs are there. The whispers are growing louder, and Tagle's emotional reaction to Pope Francis's final wish. Yes, it could mean more than anyone anticipated. So, what really happens when it's time to choose the next pope? Let's dive into the ancient secret world of the papal conclave and explore whether Tagle's future has already been written in silence. Has the decision been made? For centuries, electing a new pope has been one of the most secretive and sacred processes in the world. Hidden behind the ancient walls of the Vatican, the papal conclave unfolds as a timeless ritual. No cameras, no outside influence. Only the cardinals, their consciences, and, if tradition holds, the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Once inside the Sistine Chapel, the doors are locked. The outside world can only watch and wait for one signal: the smoke. Black smoke means no agreement. White smoke means a new pope has been chosen. Simple, right? But what if this time, things are not as simple as that? What if the decision was made long before the ballots were cast? In recent weeks, the whispers have been growing louder within the Vatican circles. Rumors suggest that Pope Francis, aware of his declining health and the divisions within the church, may have quietly paved the way for his preferred successor. No, a pope cannot officially name his successor. But influence, that's a different story. Pope Francis has always had a strategy, choosing cardinals that align with his vision of a compassionate, inclusive church. Many of those cardinals will be the ones voting in the next conclave. Coincidence or careful planning? And then there was the emotional moment that made everyone talk when Luis Antonio Tagle was seen wiping away tears after the Cardinals' private announcement of Pope Francis's final wish. To many observers, this was not just sorrow or respect, it was something deeper. As an insider quietly remarked, the torch doesn't need to be passed publicly to be accepted. Could it be that Pope Francis, in his final personal request, clearly indicated who he hoped would lead after him? A spiritual passing that was not stated as a command, but as a sincere wish. A wish that the Cardinals would find hard to ignore when it comes time to vote. It was something deeper. As an insider quietly remarked, the torch doesn't need to be passed publicly to be accepted. Could it be that Pope Francis, in his final personal request, clearly indicated who he hoped would lead after him? A spiritual passing that was not stated as a command, but as a sincere wish. A wish that the Cardinals would find hard to ignore when it comes time to vote. Is he preparing for something he never publicly requested but has privately accepted? Because emotions like his, those raw, visible tears, do not come from nowhere. They come from knowing that life is about to change forever. So, has the next pope already been chosen? Not by official decree, but by the unspoken will of a soon-to-retire leader. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on the latest developments in this story. These are the questions swirling around the ancient streets of Rome. Questions that no one in the Vatican will answer. But everyone is thinking about them. And as Tagle remains silent, the world can only wonder, why does this moment cause him such pain? What truth lies behind those tears? Let's take a closer look at this man and explore the emotions that emerge when words are no longer enough. Luis Antonio Tagle is known for his calm demeanor, his steady voice, and his ability to inspire without ever raising his tone. So, when such a man breaks down in front of colleagues, you know it's not just sorrow, but something much deeper. For Tagle, this is not just about honoring Pope Francis's final wish. It's about the immense pressure of what that wish implies. Imagine being considered the chosen one, not out of ambition, but because of trust. Knowing that stepping forward could mean leading over 1 billion people, facing criticism from every corner, and carrying the expectations of both tradition and progress. As a cardinal is said to have remarked after witnessing the moment, these are not just tears of sorrow. These are tears of understanding. Does Tagle want this role? That remains an unanswered question, because fulfilling the dying wish is one thing, but accepting the weight of history is another. After the announcement, sources revealed that Tagle spent hours reflecting, away from the public eye. A man caught between personal humility and global responsibility. But while Tagle remains silent, the church continues to change. And Pope Francis's wish is not just for one person, it's about changing the very direction of the church. So what does this change really look like? Let's see how this moment might redefine the Catholic Church worldwide. How does the final wish reflect a new church? For over 2,000 years, the heartbeat of the Catholic Church has echoed through the grand cathedrals of Europe. From Rome to Paris, from Vatican City to ancient traditional halls, leadership has always been shaped by the voice of the West. But Pope Francis, true to his nature, dared to imagine something different. His final wish was not only about who would wear the white robes of the next pope. It was about shifting the very focus of the church. A church that no longer speaks from Europe to the world, but speaks with the world, especially to those who have not been heard for far too long. Pope Francis knows where the future of faith is growing, not in the fading congregations of Europe, but in the vibrant, struggling, and hopeful communities in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. These regions are now home to the fastest-growing Catholic communities. Yet for centuries, their voices have only echoed faintly in the corridors of power. His final message is clear. It's time for the Church to reflect its people, to embrace diversity, not as a symbolic gesture, but as its foundation. And at the heart of this vision stands a man, Luis Antonio Tagle, a son of the Philippines, a country where Catholicism is not just a religion, but a way of life. interwoven into the daily struggles and triumphs of ordinary people. Tagle is not just a cardinal, he is a symbol of what the church can become. A leader who understands poverty because he has witnessed it. A man who speaks of compassion because he has lived in it. Not only fluent in language, but also fluent in the universal language of empathy. If Tagle were to ascend to the papacy, he would not just be a new face at the Vatican. This will be a historic turning point, the end of Europe's dominance in the leadership of the church and the beginning of a truly global church. A church where a child in Manila or a family in Nairobi feels as connected to Rome as anyone in Paris or Madrid. As Pope Francis once said, the future of the church is not in the past, but on the margins. And that's exactly where Tagle comes from. Not from marble palaces, but from the streets where faith is about survival, hope, and community. But let's not pretend that this change will be welcomed by everyone. Change, especially in ancient institutions like the Catholic Church, often brings fear. There are those who see this global transformation as a threat to tradition. They fear that opening the doors could mean losing control over customs and authority that have been in place for centuries. So, while millions may celebrate the idea of a church led by someone like Tagle, powerful voices behind closed doors may have already prepared to oppose. This is not just a change in leadership. It's a battle for identity. Will the church boldly step into the future where every voice matters, or will it retreat into the comfort of old ways? The stage is set, but the next move will depend on whether Tagle is ready to push this global vision forward. And this brings us to an important question. Can he withstand the storm that's coming? Let's look at the enormous challenges that lie ahead for him. If he chooses to fulfill Pope Francis's bold final wish, can Tagle achieve what seems impossible? If Luis Antonio Tagle truly becomes the one to carry out Pope Francis's vision, he will not only enter history, he will enter a storm like no other, because this is not the church of centuries past. Today, the Catholic Church is facing a world that is questioning everything: authority, relevance, even its morality. And at the heart of all this is a man known for his gentle smile and compassionate heart. But is that enough? First, there are still deep scars the Church has yet to heal. The stories of abuse scandals have shaken the faith of millions. No leader can ignore them, and will have to confront them directly with transparency and justice. But how can you rebuild trust when so much has been broken? Then there's the growing call for modernization. Across the world, Catholics, especially the younger generation, are asking hard questions. Should the Church reconsider its stance on LGBTQ rights? Should women have a larger role in leadership? How can ancient traditions survive in a world changing by the minute? Balancing these demands while staying true to centuries-old doctrines is no simple task. It's like walking a tightrope, where each step could provoke backlash from both sides. And Tagle, known for his diplomacy and kindness, will need to transition from a beloved figure to a much tougher one, a reformer facing criticism. As a Vatican commentator bluntly said, being Pope today isn't just about faith, it's about navigating a storm. But perhaps the biggest challenge doesn't come from external voices. It comes from the internal politics of the Vatican. Power factions deeply rooted in tradition are ready to push back against any major reform efforts. These aren't just disagreements, they are battles for the soul of the church. Even if Pope Francis's final wish points directly to Tagle, there's no guarantee the road ahead will be smooth. History shows that popes who try to change too much, too quickly, often face isolation, criticism, and even betrayal from their own ranks. And let's not forget, Tagle never asked for this. His tears in the Cardinals' announcement were not just out of honor. They were because of the heavy weight of expectation. To fulfill Francis's vision, Tagle will need to lead with courage, wisdom, and an unwavering commitment to both compassion and truth. So now the world waits. If Tagle steps forward, will he be welcomed as a beacon of hope, or will he face walls of resistance at every turn? One thing is certain. This is not just about becoming pope. It's about transforming an institution that billions look to for guidance. The question is, can one man achieve what many call an impossible task? Tagle stands at a crossroads between fear and faith, tradition and transformation. But in the end, it all comes down to one defining question. Will Pope Francis's final wish truly come to fruition? Let's recap all of this in our final chapter. Will Pope Francis's final wish become a reality? Now, as the dust settles around the Cardinals' announcement, the world wonders if Pope Francis's heartfelt final wish will be honored, or if it will fade like another moment lost in the secrecy of the Vatican. Luis Antonio Tagle has yet to publicly speak about that tearful day. But sometimes silence speaks louder than words. The Cardinals hold the power to decide the next chapter, but the spirit of Francis's message, his call for compassion, inclusion, and a church truly serving humanity, still lingers in every decision they make. As millions watch from around the world, one thing is clear. This is not just about choosing a new pope. The Cardinals hold the power to decide the next chapter. But the spirit of Francis's message, his call for compassion, inclusion, and a church truly serving humanity, still lingers in every decision they make. As millions watch from around the world, one thing is clear. This is not just about choosing a new pope. And with that, we are left on the precipice of history. Because whatever happens next, one truth remains. Pope Francis's final wish is not just a farewell. It is a call to action. Stay tuned, for this story is far from over. We will continue to follow this story, as it is far from over. What do you think about the future of the church and Tagle's role? Don't forget to leave a comment with the number 1 if you resonate with this story, or number 0 if you have a different opinion. Share your thoughts with us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video that appears on your screen for more amazing content. See you in the next videos.